Do you remember the first time you got a bad grade? Or the first time you fell off your bike? How did it feel? Were you able to move on right away? Probably not. It probably took you a while. Maybe you still think about it from time to time. This is because failure is hard to accept, even though it's a very common and normal experience. In fact, people are notoriously bad at acknowledging their failures. For example, let's say you got an A+ on your exam. You're probably going to say it's because you're just really, really smart. However, let's say you got an F on the same exam. Here, you're going to say something like, oh, it's because I was sick that week. This idea is captured by the self-serving bias. The self-serving bias is the idea that we attribute our successes to our dispositional characteristics, so the fact that you're really smart, and our failures to our situational factors or characteristics. Why do we do this? Well, it's simple. We like feeling good about ourselves. And failure threatens this positive self-image that we have. It threatens our self-worth because it makes us acknowledge that maybe there is something wrong with us. Maybe we're not good at everything we do. Failure can also make us confront the possibility that we can't control the world around us. And this can be a very scary thing. In fact, if we internalize this idea, it can lead to learned helplessness. Learned helplessness is a psychological state where you feel out of control. You feel like you're a victim to your circumstances, and so you stop trying altogether. In turn, even when the opportunity to succeed presents itself, you're probably not going to take advantage of it. In these ways, fear of failure holds you back because it makes you disengage from a task that you started, or even worse, it stops you from trying new things altogether because you're scared that you're going to fail at them. Really, even when we can recognize our failures, we're bad at seeing the value in them. So for example, in one experiment, participants played the mystery box game. And the goal of this game is to win as much money as possible. So participants get these 3 boxes, one with a large success, one with a moderate success, and one with a small failure. But they don't know which is which, and they have to choose one every round. Before they start, they get the option to find out the location of either the moderate success or the small failure. Now, the best strategy is to go with the location of the small failure so that you're winning something on every round. However, 1/3 of participants still picked the moderate success. Why is this? Well, it's harder for us to see that failure can contain useful information. So even when the moderate success tends to be the worst strategy, you're still going to pick it over the small failure. And this is why learning from failure is more difficult, because not only do you have to realize what you did wrong, but what it teaches you about the right answer. Some people, however, are better at learning from failure than others. For example, experts are better than novices. Why? Well, number one, they're more committed to their field. They've invested more time, more energy, and so a failure is less likely to deter them than it would a novice. The other reason is that they need less effort to engage with their field of expertise. And so this leaves extra cognitive resources that they can then use to engage in processes like reflection and regret that allow them to analyze those failures and see the value in them. However, not all hope is lost. There is a way that you and I can learn from our failures as well. Specifically, you've heard of social distancing. Today I'm talking about cognitive distancing. Cognitive distancing is a psychological technique that we can use to separate ourselves from the failure. So instead of saying, why did I fail? I could say, why did Rameen fail? And in this way, by putting that distance between myself and the failure, I'm more likely to see it from a neutral third-person perspective. And I'm also more likely to see the value in it. The other thing we can do is to reframe our perspective around the failure. So, for example, in one study, they had high school students in the experimental group advise younger students on how to succeed based on their past failures. Compared to the control group, these students did significantly better in the next semester. Why? Because their focus shifted from their failure to their potential ability to succeed. The last thing we can do is to change our mindset around failure. So for example, I'm sure you guys have heard of the growth mindset. The growth mindset is this idea that we start focusing on growing and achieving because our abilities are not fixed, but indeed they can improve over time. And so the goal becomes learning and progressing as opposed to achieving. And even failure is seen as an opportunity for growth. So really, if you came up here afraid of the presentation, if you've ever been afraid of failure, I hope that you'll learn that failure isn't that scary. In fact, failure can contain valuable information if we know how to find it. Thank you.